This is FinTech Futures at FinovateFall, and I'm joined by Rodrigo Suarez at Piermont Bank. Rodrigo, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with us. To get started, I'd like to give us a quick introduction to yourself and your role at Piermont Bank.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm Chief Banking and Innovation Officer at Piermont Bank. We are a relatively new bank. We got our charter in 2019. And my role and my focus has been building or growing our fintech and banking as a service business, as well as finding technology partners to augment our delivery capabilities for our core commercial customer base, where we mostly serve SMBs and lower middle market companies.
Excellent, excellent. And you're here speaking on a panel about digital acceleration. As a relatively young bank, as you mentioned there, how have you approached your digital transformation journey and digital journey in general?
Yeah, well, I think where we're different is because we're new, we don't really have the legacy culture or legacy infrastructure that many of the larger banks do have. So we don't really approach our projects as digital transformation projects, if you will, because they're not really transformational. We're really building from the ground up in what we think is the right way, and trying to be relevant given where we see the needs of our own customers and end users.
You mentioned the incumbents there. How difficult is it for them with that legacy systems in place to kind of really approach their digital transformation and really make change and keep up with that pace of change as well?
I think it's challenging for sure, and that's one of the reasons why we started the bank in the first place. We thought there was a need for a bank that was digital first or like a true, what we call a hybrid bank, because we're not only digital, we do believe in high touch for certain things and for certain customer segments. But we do see that some of the larger incumbents struggle, and that's really a function of them having years of legacy system process, and also, frankly, in some cases, a legacy culture as well that doesn't allow them to innovate or to truly launch new digital first propositions effectively. We're, as I said, a little bit different, and that's where I think it's a little bit more interesting and fun to be in the environment that I'm in. But I also think there's definitely room for some of those larger incumbents to improve how they tackle their digital acceleration. And we see some examples of that, which I think is positive, because at the end of the day, what matters is better delivery models for customers.
Excellent, excellent. Even as a younger, more agile bank as yourself, given the rate of change with digital now and technology these days, how difficult is it for you as well to keep up with that and make sure that you're kind of getting those offerings out and making sure you're hitting those customer expectations?
I think it's part of how the bank was built to begin with. So we really make a concerted effort to remain relevant as we continue building. It's challenging for us in the same way that it's challenging for a technology company or a fintech. You always need to be customer first and really understand how new channels are evolving so that you remain relevant. So it's an ongoing effort, I would say. Even if we don't struggle with some of the legacy that some of the larger banks struggle with, we do need to make sure that we're on top of new and emerging technologies and new customer needs, and have the ability to effectively and quickly build or partner with companies to address those needs.
And which areas in particular have you been focusing on recently?
We have been focusing, because we're new, mostly in enhancing and continuing to make our existing model more robust. So as I mentioned initially, we work with fintechs in our banking as a service model. So for us, that has meant building the right infrastructure and the right model to work with those companies and enable them to offer differentiated propositions. So a lot of it recently has been, how do we get things done faster, more efficiently? How do we work at the speed at which those companies work? And in our core commercial side, we mostly work with lower middle market companies and SMBs. So the focus has been also how do we make faster lending decisions? How do we build more robust treasury management solutions for those customers? So more of what we started doing, and still continuing to be true to that initial value proposition. There are a few things that are new that I can speak to as well. We have launched a capital call line product with a company called AngelList, for example. But it's really a continuation of what we started doing from the start.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, we're here at FinovateFall, there's a lot of companies demoing today. I mean, is there any companies that you've got your eye on here whilst you're over here, or is there anything else you can tell us in the pipeline at the moment that you've got in terms of that partnerships?
Well, it's the first day I just got here, so I'm going to walk around, see some of the demos. I'm really excited about the new things that are popping up. No specific company. I can probably give you a better answer tomorrow or on Wednesday, but very interested in seeing some of the new things that are popping up, especially around AI and some of the hot topics. There are new things that are emerging technology-wise, so I'm looking forward to learning about them as well.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, it's been quite a tough year for financial services as well over the last year, just in general. I mean, as a relatively new bank as well, how has that impacted you, and how difficult has it been to make sure that you can continue growing, continue scaling in the current economic climate?
Yeah, well, it is a challenging climate for sure. There was a recent article in S&P, I believe, that described how digital-first, fintech-focused banks are faring compared to some of the other banks on a peer comparison basis. We're actually in that article, so we've fortunately been one of the few banks that have continued growing and that have fared reasonably well, even given the tough macro environment. And we're continually pushing to keep that happening. But I see that there are more challenges and more things that we'll need to do to overcome them for sure.
Excellent, excellent. And just to finish off then, what technologies at the moment would you say are most important for banks to be looking into?
I think there are some of the technologies that we have been talking about for years, and maybe the most relevant one, especially for some of the other more traditional banks, are technologies that allow them to abstract away from their legacy core systems. Going back to the discussion we had on legacy systems and legacy infrastructure, I think that's definitely a relevant one, even if it's been popping up for a long time. And the other one that probably everyone will mention is just how can we better leverage AI to deliver truly robust banking, where it's not just a better chatbot, but something fundamentally different.
Well, thank you so much again, Rodrigo, for taking the time out to speak. Let's hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.